There goes the dance floor. Dozens were injured early Sunday when the floor of a Spanish nightclub abruptly collapsed under their feet. The Butterfly Disco Pub in Tenerife on Spain's Canary Islands was full of revelers around 2:30 a.m. Sunday morning. A 4-meter by 4-meter area of floor suddenly gave way, sending people crashing into an empty area below. At least 40 clubbers were wounded after falling one story into the basement. Victims included tourists from France, Romania, Belgium, and the UK. The injured were taken to the hospital and treated for fractured thigh bones, broken and sprained ankles, as well as cuts and bruises. According to the mayor of Tenerife, the popular gay nightclub had a legitimate license and did not appear to be overcrowded when the incident occurred. Firefighters are currently sifting through the debris to look for clues on how and why the dance floor collapsed. Yikes.
Newlywed's body found buried in deep hole dug on beach. Digging holes in the sand is just part of a day at the beach, but for a 30-year-old newlywed on vacation, a deep hole in the dark quickly became her grave. In Ocean City, Maryland, posted beach regulations stipulate holes must not be dug more than knee-deep of the smallest person in the group. Authorities aren't sure who's responsible for digging the hole and carelessly leaving it behind, but tourist Ashley O'Connor somehow found herself in it. She was last spotted on the beach sometime after 2 a.m. on July 31st. Holes dug in the sand can quickly cave in and collapse, burying unsuspecting victims under the pressure within seconds. The next morning, around 6:30 a.m., beachgoers spotted a limp arm sticking out of the sand. It was Ashley's. Currently, investigators do not suspect any foul play. CBS News reports that globally, 31 people have died from similar sand traps over the past decade.
Because made in China? 9 fairground thrill seekers were injured, one of them seriously, when this carnival ride came crashing down on top of them in China. The accident happened at a temple fair in Gansu province in the northwest of the country on March 9th. According to reports, a 9-year-old child and 8 adults were crushed when the ride malfunctioned not long after starting. Witnesses said they heard a loud bang and saw an iron column snap when the passengers on the spinning chair ride were about 15 feet off the ground. Members of the emergency services rushed to the scene and managed to free the trapped festival goers, who were then rushed to the hospital. According to reports, the ride has since been demolished. Police are now investigating whether this is another case of made in China, meaning, of course, health and safety being ignored yet again in the relentless pursuit of cash.
Controversy surrounds the cause of the Kolkata bridge collapse. A bridge that was under construction in Kolkata, India, collapsed yesterday, killing at least 20 people and trapping over 100 people underneath. The construction of the bridge was previously already delayed multiple times. The collapsed bridge in India was being constructed in central Kolkata's Bara Bazar area, a heavily crowded location, when it fell on March 31st. Witnesses reported seeing construction crews welding a portion of the bridge the day before it fell. They also reported seeing concrete being poured. However, a senior official with the group responsible for the project denies any fault by the company, saying that it was God's will and the buckling of a girder, a large horizontal beam, was what caused the collapse. Others claim India's lax standards and culture of using the cheapest tender are the reasons for the bridge's collapse. Some say poor construction and lack of stable designs are to blame. Rescue crews are continuing to try to free those trapped under the bridge.
Tunnel collapses at Hanford nuclear site. Hundreds of workers were evacuated from one of the most radioactive sites in America on Tuesday, when a hole collapsed in a tunnel used to store nuclear waste. The Hanford site in Washington state covers an area of 586 miles, which is about half the size of Rhode Island. The collapse occurred in an area where 2 tunnels, used to store radioactive materials, joined together. The hole is around 20 feet long. The tunnels hold contaminated train cars and highly radioactive waste. According to reports, vibrations from nearby roadwork may have caused the tunnel to cave in. Emergency responders were using a robot to take video and survey the damage. According to Energy Department officials, there was no initial indication that radiation has leaked from the area. The last nuclear reactor to be shut down at the Hanford site was decommissioned in 1987.
Italian conservationists get a horrible sinking feeling. A stretch of road has collapsed in central Florence, swallowing a row of parked cars and cutting water supplies. The sinkhole formed just 200 meters from the Ponte Vecchio, a 14th century bridge that is one of the key landmarks of the ancient city. A 200-meter stretch of road collapsed on the banks of the Arno River, which runs through Florence. The chasm formed in the early hours of Wednesday and submerged some 20 parked cars in water. At around 1 a.m., a crack occurred in a cast iron water pipe running underneath a road by the riverbank. Cracks then formed in the road above before the leak was temporarily fixed. Several hours later, a second blowout in the 60-centimeter diameter pipe led to more underground flooding. The road then collapsed, with the sinkhole reaching up to 7 meters deep in some places. No one was injured in the incident, and the city's mayor assured residents there was no threat to Florence's historic city center.